Champ cars are lined up and almost ready to go in Portland, Oregon. But look a little closer, they're not in their usual formation up against the pit wall in echelon. Instead, they're lined up in grid formation. Yes, for the first time ever, the Champ Car World Series is going to have a standing start. The fever is building. This is going to be fun. Hello and welcome to Portland, Oregon. My name is Jeremy Shaw, joined once again by James Hinchcliffe. And James, you had a good weekend, a couple of poles and a couple of second place finishes here in Portland. Looking at the weather conditions now, it's dry at the moment. Very different conditions to yesterday.
Yeah, Jeremy, yesterday it was raining, and the Portland track here differs a lot from wet to dry. Not only that, now that it's rained, all the rubber from the beginning of the weekend's been washed away, and these guys are going to be getting on this track, and it's going to be different from what they've been used to.
Yeah, qualifying in Friday was in the dry. That is when the grid positions were set, but yesterday it was very, very wet. And we still saw the same sort of characters running up at the front. Great place to go racing here in Portland. We're in the Pacific Northwest in Portland, Oregon, and James Hinchcliffe, this is a great place to go racing.
Fantastic, fast-flowing circuit here at Portland International Raceway, and as you head down the front straight into the famous festival curves, 175 miles an hour down to just 50, best passing opportunity, look for action in the first corner. Then into a sequence of fast-flowing corners. It's all about rolling speeds through corners 4 and 5, decreasing radius through 6 and 7. Again, flowing speed, high minimums is the key. Get a good shot down that back straight into the super quick chicane through 10-11. Very, very brave part of the race circuit here. And then a good shot onto the front straight, as corner 1 is your best passing opportunity here at Portland.
Yeah, and with a standing start, this is going to be oh so exciting. The last 15 years in Portland, we have not seen a repeat pole sitter. We have now. Justin Wilson also was on the pole 2 years ago. Robert Dornbos, an excellent effort to start on the front row alongside him. Sebastian Bourdais unhappy with his car. Alex Tagliani alongside.
Starting on the inside of row 3, Tristan Gomedy, an impressive run for PKV, and the first of the Team Australia cars, Simone Pagenaud, on the outside. Down to the 4th row, Will Power in his worst start of the season. Look for him to move up, and Graham Rahal, a little bit disappointed with how he's been doing so far this weekend.
Yeah, but he was very quick yesterday in the wet. And in the row 4 is Dan Clark. Row 5 is Dan Clark. He struggled this season in the second of the Minardi Team USA cars, but he's done a good job this weekend in qualifying. Oriol Servia, he's back in the series, but now in a number 7 car, taking over from Mario Dominguez. Jan Halen making his debut this season, now driving instead of Matt Halliday for Conquest Racing. And Paul Tracy, way back there on row 7, he crashed on Friday. We're getting ready for the start. There is our pole sitter. Look at the in-car cameras. Graham Rahal, Justin Wilson and Neil Jarney are going to bring us some fantastic pictures this afternoon. Once the last car is lined up on the grid, they'll get a 15-second board, and there are the lights to start this race. We'll see 4 lights lined up in sequence, and then when the lights go out, the race will be on. The fever is building here. This is going to be tremendously exciting. We're waiting a long time for these standing starts in the Champ Car World Series, and Tony Cotman, the race director, told him he's going to give them a few more seconds to get themselves organised, let the pulses settle just a little bit, because boy, they are really running at this stage in the game, but they want to make sure the cars aren't stationary for too long. We're going to see these lights signed up. As soon as the lights go out, we'll be racing. How about that? Picture perfect down to the first corner. The first 2 cars there, absolutely side by side. Robert Dornbos, he was made an excellent start, but Justin Wilson matched him and held on to that pole position, James.
But it was Will Power who's jumped up from 7th place into 3rd, I think. A fantastic start from the Team Australia car. On board with Graham Rahal now as we head into turn 6. Everybody kind of settling down. We saw 2 cars actually miss the first corner, Jeremy, and to hit the cones, it looked like it was Pagenaud and maybe Tracy.
I think it might have been a PT. Boy, he's had another tough weekend there on the inside. There is PT, however. Boy, he must have made a good start. Maybe it's Oriol Servia that who went off through the chicanes out of the first corner. But look at the lead that Justin Wilson has built up on this first lap. Of course, we haven't had any parade laps here, so the tyres were stone cold at the start of the race. That's a great getaway by Justin Wilson.
Absolutely fantastic. And of course, it looks like his teammate Alex Tagliani has jumped from 4th into 2nd. Now, Tag was one of the best in practice for the standing starts here in preseason testing. No, I'm lying. I'm sorry. Tag's falling back. It is still Doornbos in second.
They are very similar, those black and red cars. We've got a lot of black cars in the series this season. And yeah, you're right. I think Tag, there is Sebastian Bourdais. So he maintained that fourth place there because, as you say, Will Power made a stunning getaway from the fourth row of the grid. And he was very disappointed with his qualifying run. He was quick yesterday in the wet. He missed only missed getting on the front row by only a tenth of a second, less than a tenth of a second. But close is not good enough in the Champ Car Series. It's only the fastest guy in the second session, when the second session is wet, that makes any improvement in his grid position. And the other hard luck story in qualifying yesterday in the wet was Graham Rahal. Just 200ths of a second he missed on his best lap. Otherwise he would have started, if he'd made that 200ths of a second up, he could have started on the front row. As he was, he had to start back on row 4.
Coming down now to complete the second lap, Justin Wilson with a gap now of 1.4 seconds. He's absolutely, 2.1 seconds now. Absolutely storming up at the front of the grid.
Justin Wilson, yeah, absolutely superb. We've seen that before from him here, hasn't he? 2 years ago, he started on the pole for the Rousport team, and he romped away with the race. He was looking good for his first ever victory in the Champ Car World Series until he had a mechanical problem, which was, of course, nothing of his doing. He just coasted to the side of the road. Can he keep it together today?
Alex, let's hope so. And then, of course, last year he had a monumental battle here with AJ Allmendinger. AJ, of course, managed to grab his first ever win in Champ Car that race, but it was a great race between the two of them. So Justin really likes this circuit. It's fast, it's flowing. You've got to be precise, you've got to be smooth, and that's very much Justin's style.
It certainly is. But look at this, Robert Doornbos. Boy, he's done a great job since stepping up into the Champ Car World Series. His first 3 starts, he's come away with 2 podium finishes. That in itself is quite remarkable for this Minardi Team USA. Paul Stoddart buying into that team over the winter. Dan Clark and Robert Doornbos, the teammates there, coming down the straight one more time. You can see they're not allowed to use the power to pass on the first lap down to the first corner. I believe Will Power tried to burst over there. The Cosworth power to pass, a button on the steering wheel. They got 60 seconds worth of usage of that button during a race. When they press the button, the driver, he gets an extra 300 horsepower, a little bit of extra turbocharger boost pressure as well. It's good for about another 50 horsepower.
And it does help. It's sometimes just that last little bit that you need to get a run on a guy, especially into these festival curves on the first corner. So great battle here for second, third, fourth, fifth. All these cars running nose to tail, but Justin has just left them now over 2.5 seconds in the lead. It's actually Tristan Gomedy's the third fastest car on track right now. Justin the quickest, Robert Doornbos second, but Tristan, the PKV car, running very strong so far.
He's done a great job all weekend as Tristan Gomedy. He was actually quickest yesterday in the wet. That was before he spun off the road and caused a red flag stoppage. And when you cause a red flag stoppage in a qualifying session, they take away your best time. So heartbreak for Tristan Gomedy, but boy, he'd done a fabulous job in that session to set that time. And now he's done a good start in any case. Even without that, he qualified 5th on Friday, far and away his best qualifying effort this season for the PKV team. And once again, leaving his highly touted teammate Neil Jani firmly in his wake.
Yeah, he's been doing a fantastic job. Of course, he's led at a few of the races here.
Let's have a look here at the onboard from Graham Rahal. We might see something interesting. There is Paul Tracy's down now in 15th place because of this on board with Graham Rahal looking at 2 cars ahead. PT just got on the throttle a little bit too hard coming out of turn 6, looped that car around, and PT, boy, he's had another action-packed weekend. He crashed heavily on Friday morning, had to switch to the backup car, and they had problems with that on Friday in qualifying. Yesterday had a couple of spins in the wet. Boy, he's not very happy, but I did speak to him just after the warm-up session this morning, and he was certainly a little bit happy with the way that car had been handling then.
Well, yeah, the 2 Forsyth cars were 2nd and 5th with Oriole and Paul respectively this morning, so they're coming up to it. But, you know, what you neglected to mention was it was the first lap of Friday practice that Paul managed to put the car into the wall. And then when the backup car had a mechanical problem, it was somehow the team's fault that he had such a horrible Friday. So not necessarily the best return to the seat for Paul Tracy, but he's never really got the feel of this track. He's never done well here. Of course, his teammate AJ Allmendinger last year won this race, and Paul really struggled. And now, AJ's engineer from last year, he's on Robert Dornbos's car.
Certainly is. That's Michael Cannon, of course, the race engineer now for Minardi Team USA. You talk about PT. He's never won here at Portland, as you say, but he has had 5 podium finishes, including a second, a third, and a third in 2003, 04, and 05. Plus, he had a pole back here in 1993, a long, long time ago, that must seem now. But PT, yeah, he's struggled. It's great to see him back in the series. Of course, he missed the last 2 races because of the accident he had in practice at Long Beach. Had a compression fracture to his lower back.
Fuel to normal, fuel to normal.
That's Michael Cannon on the radio to put Robert Dornbos down. There's Sebastian Bourdais making a move on willpower. It doesn't come off. Early stages here in Portland. That was a good move, an attempted pass there by Sebastian Bourdais, but it did not come off, James.
No, he didn't. He wasn't quite close enough to get far enough alongside Will Power. Will very aggressive there, kind of chopped him, but it was clean racing. But now that's given Alex Tagliani the scent of blood, and now he's trying to catch up to Sebastian Bourdais and maybe move his car up a spot.
There is Sebastian Bourdais in 4th place. Justin Wilson leads. Robert Dornbos in 2nd place. Will Power, then Sebastian Bourdais. This man, the McDonald's car, the 3-time defending champion of the Champ Car World Series. Tagliani in 5th. Tristan Gomondi in 6th. And Dan Clark, he made a good start. Graham Rahal, Neil Jarney, and Jan Halen. Boy, has he done a great job this weekend for the Conquest Racing team, running in 10th place. His first race of the season, raced last year with Dale Coyne. But he's done an excellent job to get up into the top 10 in the early stages, having just won the day of testing at Putnam Park near Indianapolis a week or so ago.
He's certainly got a handle on this car very quickly, but this is just a great battle going on here. Justin Wilson, he's now almost 6 seconds ahead of the field in only 8 laps. That's just a stonking pace from Justin Wilson, but the battle from 3rd down to 7th, these guys are running lap times within 2/10 of one another all the way down there, so a really good battle there. But at present, it's Graham Rahal did have the fastest lap of the race there for just a moment, but Justin Wilson has responded and taken it back, but still 2nd quickest lap to Graham, so he's on the move as well.
Yes, he is. He's running in 8th place at the moment, ahead of Neil Jarney, but there are almost, over 10 seconds behind the race leader, this man, Justin Wilson. This is a very torrid pace he is setting down. We're expecting the drivers to make 3 pit stops during this race. The first pit stop we expect somewhere around about lap 28 or 29 if there are no cautions. But the early stages, it's all about Justin Wilson and that CDW car. Justin Wilson, an excellent start to this race. Look at the lead he has built up, driving, of course, the CDW car for the R Sports team, the amalgamation of Roo Sports and Rocket Sports Racing. Paul Gedalozzi and Den Pettit, the owners of those 2 organizations. But Justin has been absolutely stunning. He's just pulling away, leaving everybody for dead. He's pulling away at least a half a second a lap. Up until now, it's been the best part of a second lap. And James Hinchcliffe, this is the incredible early pace that Justin is setting.
Yeah, considering this is usually the stint of the race where they got to save a little bit of fuel to try and make that first stint go just that little bit longer. And Justin's pulling, I mean, technically I think he's pulling a typical Sebastian Bourdais, and he's being able to save enough fuel, but still absolutely pull away from the field. There's just something about this circuit Justin just loves.
He does indeed. He always says he likes the weather conditions here, just like England, really. Yesterday it was raining, and today it is not. But the lead is pulled out. It's really quite astonishing. On board here with Neil Jarney. This is the driver's eye view, quite literally, at helmet cam, and it's such it's a wonderful perspective that we have here.
Yeah, it's this is what it looks like from the race car. As you can see, you're seeing a lot of steering wheel, and actually you can't see much in front of you. The closest point that you can see on the road is several hundred feet in front of you, actually, and you can just see here how much the driver's head gets shaken around. And this isn't a particularly bumpy circuit here at Portland, and going through this long turn 4, turn 5 sections, the G-forces that are pushing on Neil's head right now, obviously you can't quite get a feel for it through this camera, but you can see how he's leaning his head into the corners, his hands just working, and this is just a few corners of 1 lap, so you can just really appreciate how hard this is over a race distance.
It was interesting. Some drivers lean their head into the corners and some don't.
It's a preference. I mean, some guys, it all has to do with the equilibrium you have kind of within your own body. Some guys, they have to lean. It just kind of what makes them comfortable in the corner. And some guys do it because their neck muscles are a little bit weaker, and so they need that extra support. But I typically, personally, I'm a bit of a head leaner, not going to lie. If I try and keep my head straight, I feel off balance when I go through a corner. It's very bizarre.
There's a great on board. You can see the lights there on the top of the steering wheel lighting up across towards the middle. When they converge in the middle, it's time for him to shift gear. Idiot lights, I call them, and tell the driver when to shift gear. Let's have a look here, a replay of that attempted pass down into the festival curves by Sebastian Bourdais. James?
It was a good attempt. He got quite far alongside Will, but Will was just really late on the brakes. He did leave Sebastian a bit of room. I think Sebastian had to go to the dirt a little bit on the inside, but an aggressive move, but I'd still say fair play.
Yeah, I think Sebastian, I'm sure he feels he's got a much faster car than the Team Australia car in front of him. And I know Will is really relishing this opportunity to battle head-to-head, wheel-to-wheel with Sebastian Bourdais, because he hasn't really had that sort of opportunity yet this season. Out in the first race of the season, he was long gone from where Sebastian was.